Well, welcome. We'll go ahead and get started here. Thank you. No, I don't really have a lot of time to read either, but I feel like I need to make time for fun reading because I think it's a way to just kind of use your mind in a way that kind of, gets your mind away from work things. So we'll try to carve out some more time for that. So welcome. Today, our topic is building relationships with staff. And, we're kind of at that time, right, where, at the beginning of the year, and when I say staff, I mean staff and colleagues, because some of you may be teachers, some of you may be principals. It's kind of all the same thing. But we're at that time of year where, at the beginning of the year, it's like, yay, we've got new people on board. We're going to do some team building, rah, rah. And then we get into the work, and then, it's kind of up and down. And then we kind of are cruising into this holiday time. It's after Halloween, which is, hell day for elementary teachers, hell week. But then, you've also got the holidays. And so kids and everyone's emotions are just up and down. You're excited, you're not excited, you're excited, you're not excited. And so this is just a really great time, we think, to kind of refocus on building those relationships and keeping those relationships with staff and colleagues. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. We've got a couple of resources to share with you, but really it's going to be really conversational. We are your redesign team. If you haven't been here in a while or if you don't recognize us, I'm Tammy Mitchell and I'm the elementary redesign specialist. Our colleague Jay Scott is in transit between Manhattan and Topeka, so he should be joining us shortly. And Sarah Perryman is with us today as our redesign coordinator. In a previous meeting today, I literally said that she was my translator because I talk in a lot of big ideas with a lot of words, and then she synthesizes everything for me. So I appreciate her skill in being able to do that really on a minute by minute basis. So thank you, Sarah, for joining us and really kind of leading this work. I appreciate that. So with that, I will turn it over to Sarah for some announcements.
Yeah, so we just always like to start with a reminder of why we believe that these PLCs are so important. We believe that the opportunity to collaborate with colleagues from across the state to just engage in some really meaningful conversation to gather ideas and just build community. We believe that that's important. And we also believe that structure is important in these meetings as well. And so we pull from those 4 disciplines of execution that we teach our schools in their redesign plan year. To really kind of set the structure for how these meetings unfold. So we always want to establish a clear focus, give you an opportunity to talk about what are some strategies that you can employ that might lead you to success in that area, something that you can, that's safe enough to try, something that you believe can be a difference maker in your organization. And then we always want to encourage you to think about how are you going to measure that that thing is working? So not just doing something for the sake of doing it, but doing it with intention. And how can you stay accountable? And we really hope that these meetings can be a way for you to stay accountable to trying that new thing and to really trying to engage in that continuous process of improvement, because that's really what it's all about. And so with that, we are going to kick off today's meeting with a quick Mentee. There is a link on the slide if you're in our slide deck, which is in the chat. I think Tammy's going to get those links in the chat for us as well. But that Mentee code, if you just go to mentee.com, I find it's really easy if I just do that on my phone. That code for today is 7419-4222. So I'll keep that up there for just another 30 seconds or so, and then I'll switch us over to that Mentee. Again, that code for today, 7419-4222. The link is also on the chat or on the slide in the chat as well. And I will switch us over to that Mentee. It should also have that code up at the top for you if you're able to see it there. And in thinking about those 4 disciplines of execution, remember that last piece is accountability. So each month when we are here, we're focusing on something specific and again, trying to provide you with strategies. And so last month we talked about engaging families. So whether you were here or not here last month, we just want to follow up on that topic and ask, what have you done since our last meeting or over the last month or two to engage families? Not just invite them in, but really engage your families. So again, mentee.com, 7419, 4222. We'll wait for a few responses to pop up on our Mentee. What strategies have you employed to engage families? Positive contacts from admin, video updates, a survey before parent-teacher conferences to ask for input. Like that, sent home a survey after conferences. Make sure you met their needs. Love that. What else? See, our migrant program coordinator has been meeting with families, particularly those with young children. Avid programs are planning family engagement nights, PBL night last week. Awesome. Love to see the different strategies being used there. Families on health and wellness, conferences. What can we do to meet your child's needs? Survey following parent-teacher conference to determine further needs. I love that. So not just a survey before, but that's follow-up after. Welcoming families to participate in fun activities, the parade. Love that. Awesome. I'm going to move us to our next Mentee question. You should still be able to fill in these ideas. We'll download all of them and we can share them in our newsletter. So those responses can still be captured. Great, student-led conferences. That follow-up question is thinking about that measurement piece, because the strategies that we're using, those things that we're investing our precious time in, we want to be able to know that it's making a positive difference. And so when thinking about the strategies that you just outlined, those things that you're investing your time and energy in doing, how do you know that that's making a difference when it comes to engaging families? It doesn't have to be anything super formal, but how do you know that your efforts are making a difference? I see we've got some others joining us. We are on mentee.com, 7419, 4222. I'm going to put that PowerPoint link back in the chat. And we're talking about our strategies we've tried since last time for engaging families and how we know they're making a difference. Conferences were up in attendance, 31%. That's fantastic. Congratulations. Parent feedback, increased student achievement, data evidence. Parents who've accessed the newsletter received a positive note, an email from that parent, survey feedback, attendance. When parents communicate good things, when they say thank you for communication, love that. Love when that positive contact, right? We do that for students, try to send positive contact home. It's also nice when parents do that same thing to you, right? They're calling you for a good thing and not just a complaint. Love that. Positive text from parents, improvement on spelling, reading, counts, and math. Awesome. Parent calls and texts. Parent comfortability. That's awesome. Feedback, great. Thank you for sharing, for getting these responses in here. I am going to move us to our last question, which will set us up for our topic today. Again, you can still get these responses in here. They'll be captured. and shared in our next newsletter. But for today, thinking about staff with our colleagues, what word would you use to describe how your colleagues are feeling right now? So this should generate a word cloud. You can enter up to 3 words. So if there's one that pops up on the screen that you want to make bigger, feel free to type that word in. So the more times a word is used, the bigger it becomes. So what word would you use to describe how staff are feeling right now? Overwhelmed. I think that was the largest word on our word cloud yesterday too. Frustrated, unappreciated, tired. That phrase, over it. Thankful. Love to see we got a positive one in there. We had 1 positive yesterday. I think it was gratitude. Thankful. Great. Anxious, understaffed. So promise that today we won't end with these same feelings that we're sharing here. We're going to try to talk today about, through our intentional relationship building, how can we turn that frown upside down? How can we take on some of these current feelings and really try to reshift that climate that's kind of in our schools right now. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this. I'm going to turn it back to, well, I don't know why I did that. Wrong button. Exit. That's what I wanted.
I haven't heard the term turn that frown upside down since I think my mom said that to me when I was little and pouting about something. So thanks for bringing that retro saying back to our consciousness, Sarah. That's pretty good.
Anytime.
So sorry I was late, everybody. It's great to see you all on here. JJ texted me. He's out doing supervision. He's going to be late to this. I said, yeah, I know where you're at. I'm late too. I'm getting back from a conference. So it's great to be on with you. And as Sarah said, if you're feeling some of those words that you just typed in, by the end of this, hopefully you're going to type in at the end of this, you're going to be feeling motivated, right? That's what this PLC is for, is to help us bring together and help each other come together and grow and learn. So hopefully we can take something with you going forward and spread that to your staff. You know, redesign is well known. I always think of 3 things that redesign is really well known for. The 4 redesign principles, it's one thing, but it's 4, right? That's 1, the principles. A different mindset, you're thinking about teaching and learning differently. And then the cultural shifts that we're seeing in our schools through redesign. And, you know, those usually manifest itself in things like more student-centered thinking, student-centered strategies, all those things, becoming more student-centric. But we all know this, you wouldn't be able to redesign around those principles or see those shifts in mindset and culture without solid, trusting relationships with your staff in place. So with this first half of this school year, we decided to focus on people over principles, relationships. And so today we're talking about relationships with staff. And I know that in speaking with some principals last week, that the majority, I asked them, what percentage of your week is spent in the whirlwind, the management side of things, versus what's really important to you as a leader. And I know I'm looking at all leaders, whether you're a teacher leader or administrator on here, this applies to you. And to a person, they all said it's 100% whirlwind, 100% management. And that really concerns me. And I know it's hard, but I think if you really had your druthers, right, you would be investing some time and effort, maybe some of you are, and care into your staff, because that pays large dividends down the road, right, in culture and sustainability, especially during these really kind of tenuous times. So we are going to talk about engaging relationships with staff. I know we've got some literature for you to take a look at and then discuss. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Sarah.
Yep, great. So we have an article for you all to read. I think Tammy is going to get that linked in the chat for us. And it's from Gallup, and it's 6 things the most engaged schools do differently. And so I know Jay just said we're talking about engaging relationships, and this says engaging schools. But as you start to look at these 6 things that the most engaging schools do, it's all about their people. Identifying the right people to be leaders, focusing on teacher strengths, building a culture of recognition, measuring engagement, not trying to do it all on your own. Building an engaged school is not an event. It's ongoing and intentional. So we'd like to give you an opportunity to just kind of skim this. It's very, very brief. We'd like for you to skim that article in your breakout room, which we'll move you to in just a second. And we have 2 questions that we want you to talk through with your peers. What are you currently doing to build engaging relationships with staff? So looking at those 6 areas, what are you really doing well? Where can we, use this collective time to beg, borrow, and steal ideas from others? So what are you doing right now to build engaging relationships with staff, and where can you grow? So we're going to put you into some breakout rooms for about 15 minutes. Feel free, open that article, look through, and in doing so, have that conversation. What are you currently doing? Where can you grow? Any questions on that?
I would say that if you hear good ideas in your breakout rooms, be sure to be ready to share them with the whole group so that everyone can kind of benefit from all of the ideas that are flowing through these conversations.
Great reminder. Okay, I will open the rooms. We'll be in there for 15 minutes. And when we come back, like Tammy said, we're going to ask to hear some of the greatest ideas that were shared.
All right, I think everyone should be back. Is that right, Sarah? Okay. Yeah, so what are you currently doing to engage, build, and maintain engaging relationships? Or where can you grow? What did you hear in some of your breakout rooms? I'm sure Leroy has an opportunity to speak there. So I'm going to pick on him first.
Oh, I think I'm unmuted. I'm going to defer to Madison because I didn't write it down. I was just spouting off, and I think she was taking copious notes. And also I was waiting for JJ to get here because I feel more secure and better when JJ's with me. I feel I'm a better person. I'm going to let Madison them kind of and Mrs. Weston repeat what I said because I just was spouting stuff off the top of my head.
All right, Madison.
Okay,
Go
so
for
the first thing, it's just a sticky note, so it's not like I was taking hardcore notes. But he mentioned during his staff meetings that they always start off with good things, like they go around and share good things just to check in with everybody, making sure it's non-COVID related about the good things is one of their tasks. They also have a travel trophy where you get a trophy for the month, I believe, Leroy, please stop me if I'm saying it wrong. And it's just like an affirmation trophy. So the teacher will pass it on to another teacher that, that they want to affirm and like just encourage them in that way. Excuse me. Okay. Any other things that you wanted to share from our group? I felt like those were some really good ones.
Sarah put something in the chat. Leroy gave me the title for my memoir, If We Meet, We Eat. All right. Food helps.
I really felt that in my soul.
Yeah, that's because whenever Sarah plans anything around here, we're eating. Definitely. It's always about food. All right. Who else would like to share out? What did you hear in your group?
our group asked if maybe we'd be interested in sharing, and I don't mind sharing. Some of the things that we do in our building. First of all, I wanted to say that I wanted to thank our district. They gave us a wellness morning the other morning on our in-service, and we were allowed to do one of like the 20 things they had picked out. And I chose to go to the Y, and I'm saying it was nice. I got to walk with people that I don't get to talk with on a normal basis and just kind of catch up, do some check-ins. We do a final Friday where different people bring in snacks for the whole staff on that Friday. And we have a theme day, like this past Friday was was Blackout Friday. And they provided chili and cinnamon rolls for the staff, just different staff members. Like my group is to do it next month. Don't know what we're gonna do yet because we were gonna do chili. We do staff shout outs each week. You can just send it in on a Google note and our principal sends it out as a document, and it's kind of nice. I be honest, I've only written one. I probably should write probably one every half hour for as much help as I get. We have the book that has everybody's favorites in it that you can just go and make a copy of. They turned it into a Google Drive spreadsheet last year. And I printed that off, and it's just nice when somebody helps me out. Like I work in a sped room, and today I had to go across the hall and ask the school nurse to come cover my room because I needed to get to a para and a student that was outside, and she come and help me. So that'll definitely be something I need to go figure out off that list what I want to do. It's just my way of saying thank you to her. Is there anything else that I really shared that you were thinking you wanted me to share? Can't remember it all. Good.
So when you talk about a book, what kinds of questions do people fill out? I'd like to know more about that.
Yeah, it has like your favorite food, your favorite drink, your favorite candy, something you collect, maybe your favorite color, your favorite store, your favorite restaurant, your favorite sports team, just things like that. But it gives you, you can go buy somebody a drink for a little of nothing or a snack, and one year we did like Secret Santas all year long where you could just leave things for people, or we did the Boo Basket where it went around and you put something in this coffee mug for that person to keep, and then somebody else filled the coffee mug and sent it to somebody different and things like that. I was sharing with our group, I feel like that at Colwage Elementary, we have a pretty good teacher rapport. We did have a pretty big turnover this year, so we're having to build new relationships, but I'm really happy to be here. I say my paras love the Sonic drinks that our principal provides like once a month. They always like it if there's snacks in there.
Yeah, that's a good reminder that little things like that can really just go a long way to just making that work environment feel, it's kind of your home away from home anyway. You might as well make it feel good.
Well, I say that I have a lot of staff to work with because with being a K-5 SPED teacher, I definitely work with the K-5 teachers, but I also work with related people that work in our co-op, but then I have my para staff, and I feel like I'm hearing a lot. I feel like it's easy for me to share because I hear from all types of people, their positives, the negatives, their fears. The thing that I wished I was better about was getting all the teachers to share their own positives about my paras with the paras, or the paras to be able to say to a teacher, hey, I really liked the way you taught that lesson, because they come tell me that all the time, but I wish they would tell each other so I didn't have to be the middleman. But I'll be the middleman as long as it takes, as long as it's helping boost the morale.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great way to build that culture of recognition. All right, TJ, JJ, or Jillian is in the group I was in. Something you'd like to share with the rest of the group?
Didn't this start with like the things that we felt like we were struggling with, or the things that we felt we were doing well?
Either.
Oh, either. Okay. Yeah. So I'll just kind of what we talked about. One thing that I don't think it's a struggle. It's just not. After reading back through the building and culture of recognition, I think I do some things, but as well, I would like it to be bigger, where I do try to go to teachers and tell them like, hey, you're doing a good job at this. Like, I appreciate your effort, and the things that you are doing are working well. So like after I read back through the paragraph about those specific things. I realize I'm doing that okay. I was thinking more on the building level of like everybody, teachers, students, like how are we getting that all involved? And I kind of said that we have changed so many things in the first 2.5, 3 months of school, that adding one more thing of that building a culture of recognition when it comes to like the whole, the broad scale of everyone is just not good timing. Everyone right now, I think, probably just needs more of me telling them you're doing good, and not me asking them to start telling other people they're doing good. So I think they just need to know that they're doing what they need to be doing, and they're working hard, and it's seen and it's appreciated. So I think there's on the small scale, I am doing that. On the large scale of a whole building, I would like to grow that. And then something else that I did talk about was I have a great staff around me, so I need to make sure that I do lean on them when I need to. But sometimes, especially being new, I just try to do a lot of things on my own. My secretary actually gave me a hard time. She said, "You never asked me to do anything." And I said, "Well, that's because I can do the things." And she said, "It's okay. I can do things for you." And it was, I think like 2 days ago, I needed something and I was like, "Hey, will you do this?" And she goes, "Oh my God." And it was funny. We both knew exactly what was happening. So yeah, I need to make sure that I continue to lean on those around me that I know I can count on.
Yeah, thanks, TJ. Appreciate you sharing that. Anyone else want to chime in before we move on to our next piece?
I'd like to just jump in because I just actually is kind of crazy, this topic that we have today, but found a couple of articles, one that was sent to me from my staff, or from one person on my staff, but they talked about going beyond some of the things that we already do, and like drinks and things like that, but just really talking about like they mentioned time, trying to get time back to your teachers, trust and safety. And so one of the things that I've had to back off a little bit on, which I hate, is, like I canceled the faculty meeting for today and tomorrow because I really didn't feel like, there's nothing really, and I hate that. I absolutely hate it because I love faculty meetings. I love meetings in general. But so I'm trying to cut back on that a little bit. We were going to do an all staff walkthrough. And I had planned that for October, and I got some feedback from staff that said, we are just not there. We get it. We understand why we want you to, why it's good for us to do it. But so I canceled that one. Pained me to do that too. And then the next one we have here in November, I'm going to make it optional for them to do that instead of required. And so, but I'm going to try to reward the teachers that do it with lunch, if they do that. So trying to look for ways to get back time. But it's hard because you feel like you have so much to do. And then you also have pressure from the district, and all the other things there that you feel like it's hard to give back that time and some of the things that you had been doing before that are so important. So the other article I came across was from Peter DeWitt, and he talks about like de-implementation. So looking at things that are abandoning existing low value practices. So what are the things that we do that we've just done that are getting us low value? Like one that we did this year was eliminate in-school suspension. We don't do it because it's low value. It doesn't really work for our kids. It gets me a staff member that I could be freed up on supervision to do something else that's more beneficial. So we got rid of that. And, does that mean that some more kids are maybe leaving a little bit sooner? Maybe. We have to get a little more creative with community service or things like that, but just trying to abandon some of those things maybe that admin have always required, like whether or not you collect lesson plans or certain different things and why we're doing that. And is it really providing the value that we want? I thought that was an interesting article concept. So I will shut up now. Sorry, Leroy.
Hey, can I hop in there for a minute? Can you tell me what you do for your exchange of ISS?
Yeah, you know, we have we looked at an idea at the beginning of the year and we haven't done it. But I still like it. It's that I would like to implement it. We've looked at an idea called a reverse suspension. And a reverse suspension would be where you get the parent to show up. Instead of sending the kid out, you bring the parent in. Now you got to be kind of careful with that sometimes, but you bring the kid in and you have the kids set with the parent for maybe an hour or two to do some processing. Or if you want to really get brave, have that parent go around with the kid for a day. We've done some things like for tardies and things like that, alternative passing periods or escorted passing periods where I will go get the kid instead of community service is a big one. So we had a kid today that trashed a bathroom. And so he got to go help the custodian after school today, after he made an apology. So a lot of that, trying to do a lot more of that restorative piece and doing some more of those things. And honestly, we have sent more kids out, you know, and I don't love that, but you know, sometimes, you know, you have to on certain things, but ISS, I've just found it just doesn't work. Not for us, not the way we have it set. If we had one dedicated teacher towards it for an entire day, that could really, but you know, I don't know how many staffs that can do that. So I'm sorry to go down the ISS track. I know that's not what we wanted to do, but.
It was good information. I appreciate you sharing that because we do ISS occasionally, but we don't have a staff member to staff that, and it does end up being a wasted time. A lot of times in my situation, I prefer just to have the kid come spend the day in my room because then at least I can provide services and make sure that we're moving forward. So I was just curious as to what you were doing. Some of the things that you talked about, we do that here too, like helping the janitor clean up and that kind of stuff. So thank you for sharing.
JJ, I noticed in the chat that Kaylee would like to know the names of those articles. If you could just put those in the chat, I think that that's something that piques some interest. So thank you for sharing that. All right. Well, thank you again for sharing. Really great ideas, really great thoughts too. You know, it all fits together, you know, with relationships with each other. And then you've got these other things. One of the things that came up yesterday was that, you know, if your team potluck or your faculty potluck feels like another thing on the plate of an already busy teacher, then is it really building a relationship? Is it really building collegiality? Or, you know, JJ, I like this idea of de-implementation. I'm definitely going to be looking that up because if whatever you're trying to do is just like TJ said, another thing that teachers have to do right now, instead of, you know, it being something that really feels good for them, and you really have to kind of weigh those pluses and minuses for that. All right, well, I think that I will turn it back over to Sarah to help close us out.
Yep. So just like we started with Mentee, we're going to end with that Mentee and thinking about what this next month, this opportunity to try something new that can have a positive impact on staff, on your colleagues and peers. What's something that you can commit to trying when it comes to engaging your colleagues, engaging staff, and building those relationships? So what's something that you can take on to try this next month? The Mentee is mentee.com 74194222 is our code for today. Thanks, Tammy. So what can you commit to when it comes to engaging colleagues? I'd love to try giving my colleagues a 20-minute mental health break in the middle of the day. Love that. some team building, presenting wellness ideas to staff. Thanks for sharing those links in the chat, everyone. Recognize and support staff members who are covering other classes due to lack of substitute. Yes. Showing that recognition. So each time we get together for these PLCs, we really hope that you can lead with something new to try, something to do that will lead to some impact in the area of focus. And so it looks like we've got some good commitments here, providing an open ear, creative ways to recognize staff for their tireless job of supporting students. Great. See if we can get a few more. What can you commit to trying when it comes to building engagement with your colleagues and staff? Potlucks, recognizing staff for things they do for other teachers. Great. Great, so spending 2 minutes. I'm thinking of that 2x10 strategy that we learned about in September, I believe. I'm doing that with our colleagues as a way to provide that affirmation. Awesome. I'm gonna click to that next question, but feel free to continue answering. Wendy, love it. And then how will you know it's working? So what can you keep in mind as that measure of, if I'm gonna take time and energy to try this strategy, what will I be looking for? Documenting maybe, what will I be looking for to know that that strategy is having the intended benefit that we want it to have? So thinking about your commitment for this next month, how will you know that it's working? Great morale and feedback, yes. Yes, less people crying in the office. More smiles and less frowns, love that. We got to turn those frowns upside down. Colleagues feeling comfortable to rely on you, talk to you. Great. More positive talk in the hallways, yes. Feedback from staff to understand what you're hearing. Awesome. Well, seeing that we have just about 3 minutes. Sorry.
I was just going to say, what I appreciate about this one, continued feedback from staff on the good, bad, and the ugly, is that the last thing we want is for teachers to feel like they have to fake it, right? They've got to be able to be transparent. Yes, you want them to be authentically smiling, authentically not crying as much, but you really just need them to be honest with you. So, really acknowledging that transparency is important.
Great. I'm gonna stop. Oops. I did that last time too. It's not stop share, it's exit. That's what I want. Exit. There we go. I think I'll turn it back to Tammy to help close out in our last few minutes.
Well, thanks everyone for your time. We know that we're the only thing standing between you and your 5 o'clock happy hour, so we want to get you on your way. But in the chat, I put a link to just a really quick survey. We really use your feedback to try to make next month's a PLC to be what you need it to be. So if you could just give us just another minute or two of your time sometime in the next 24 hours to complete this survey, we would really, really appreciate it. And then our next PLC opportunity Sarah?
Yep, it's December 7th and 8th. So we meet the first Tuesday, Wednesday. So that first combination in December would be the 7th and 8th. Next month, we're going to focus on building and engaging relationships with community. And our guest next month should be Clay County Community High School. So we're really excited to have them. Same Zoom link every time. We have a Redesign Google Calendar that you can access through our Redesign webpage on the KSDE website. Feel free to open that calendar and get these meetings added to your calendar that way. That way you're always able to tune in with us. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jay.
So we are coming to the end, and we just want to remind you all that we are on the Twitterverse, and we would love for you to, all those things you just committed to, take a picture of it. All right. I'm going to be down in Renwick when they have this final Friday when they're doing chili and cinnamon rolls. I'm going to take a lot of pictures of that. So food is king, right? So take pictures of your staff doing things that help build relationships. Tag it or whatever you want, but put us on there at KSDE Redesign. We love to promote all the great things that you're doing out there. And with that, last thing, that list that article that we shared that you reviewed, the number one is identify the right people to be school leaders. And that's you. Don't forget that. You're the right person to be leading your building, whether you're a teacher leader or your principal, you're the right person. And you've got to take care of yourself, but you're taking care of your people as best you can. So we appreciate you jumping in, showing leadership today. Leadership is an action. And we really appreciate you jumping in and helping us and sharing so many great ideas today. So with that, sayonara. We'll see you next time. You guys have a great evening.